First help video for your Tableau project for BA 342. As we've discussed in class, there are many times in the workforce after you leave the University of Tennessee that you likely will come into contact with companies who actually use Tableau. We've talked about Tableau as a tool for building visualizations, just like we talked about Access as a tool for building query logic. But we've made it a point to point out that many more businesses are moving towards using Tableau than that use Microsoft Access. It's likely in your professional career you may never touch Microsoft Access again, but the skills that you learned as far as logic and building queries and learning how computers store data will be invaluable to you as you go through your career. However, Tableau in and of itself is a tool that a lot of companies are moving towards. So while it isn't the only visualization tool around, it is a popular one. So we're excited to be able to show you how it really works. For your project, we're going to ask you to pull in a different database. We've used the BA 342 company database for everything that we did in Microsoft Access, and you've been following along in class using that database as well. However, for your project, we wanted to provide a more real-world scenario. You'll notice if you open Canvas under Modules, you have a Visualization Project module. In this module on Canvas, you'll have the Visualization Project, the Word document, which actually outlines the queries that you'll have to do for your project, as well as 4 CSV files. CSV stands for comma separated values, and these types of files often open in your Microsoft Excel workbook. You may have seen them before or encountered them before, but CSV files are not the same as Microsoft Excel files. One thing that's different is CSV files, you'll notice, don't have any formulas or any formatting. They're strictly comma separated value files and strictly data separated by commas that Excel converts into columns and to rows for you. We're going to pull in 4 of these for the project, and these CSV files, particularly the 2 airline data files, are very, very large. Combined, they have about 1 million rows. So definitely different than our BA 342 database that we've pulled in either from Access or from Excel, which is a much more limited data set. But this is real airline data that we've gone out and gotten for you and cleaned up for you. We've discussed in class that data cleanup is a large part of what you will actually do in the real world, but we don't have time to go into that in this class. So we've cleaned this airline data for you, and you can trust that it's ready to be imported. You also have airline code CSV and cancellation code CSV. So to get started, you're going to want to download all 4 of these files and save them in a location on your computer. You save them to the downloads folder or create a folder for them. It doesn't really matter, but you're going to want to save them all to the same place. Additionally, in this visualization project module is the airline data dictionary. More to come on that in a few minutes as I explain to you why this is such an integral part of what you need to be looking at. I'm going to go ahead and click on the data dictionary so that it will start downloading on my machine, and we can come back to it in a minute. We don't need it again to pull into our Tableau database, but we are going to look at it together. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started. Once you open a new Tableau workbook for your project, we're going to pull in our data source just like we did for BA 342. If you follow along in class, we pulled in either a Microsoft Access database, which we told you likes to fight with Tableau. They have a love-hate relationship with each other. And then we recommended to some of you that you just pull it in as a Microsoft Excel document, which you also have available on Canvas. But since we have CSV files, we don't have Excel files or Access files. This time, a CSV file is denoted as a text file. So to connect for your project, click Text File. And it's going to take you out to a folder. So you're going to browse to wherever you put your data files. And as you can see, mine are in a folder called BA 342 Tableau and Project. I can click on any one of these files and click Open. And what Tableau is going to do, it's really smart. It's going to pull every file from within that same folder that is a text file. So you'll notice it pulls in all 4 of those CSV files that I want because they're in the same folder. Now, just a quick point. If you have saved these to your downloads folder, likely you have more than just these 4 files here. It's not a problem. Tableau is not actually connecting to these files. It's just trying to create a list for me that it thinks is useful. So if you have more files than the 4 that I have here, please don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Just make sure that these 4 files are here. You'll notice that Tableau has assumed that I want to use the file that I selected, which was 2015-06 airline data, as my base file. I do in fact want to use that. But if yours says something other than this 2015-06 airline data file, all you have to do is go to this options, this upside down triangle, click on it, and click remove. I'm not going to remove mine because it is in fact the one that I want, but if yours doesn't say this, please remove it and drag this appropriate 2015-06 airline data file out here. Now, we need to join these in a way that we haven't done for BA 342. What we're trying to do, this is June airline data for 2015, and this is July airline data for 2015. You'll notice 07, 06, those are the month codes, but that's what this data is. Both of these files share similar, probably the same, but at least similar columns and fields and data types, so that Tableau is going to be able to union them or append them together. So that's what we want to do. We want to grab this 2015-07 airline data and drag it up here and append it. So you'll notice if I hover right over it, I get this orange box here that says drag table to union. So you want to hover over that drag table to union and drop the 07 data there. You'll notice now that it looks like there's multiple files here. It actually looks like there are 3. That's just the graphic that Tableau uses to tell you that you've unioned more than one file. If you want to check to make sure you did it correctly, you simply click on the down arrow and hit Edit Union. What you're looking for here is to make sure that your 2015-06 airline data and 07 airline data are both here, only here once, but both here, tables in Union 2, and you click OK. If that's not what you have, please click on it and drag it over and try again. We also want to join in this airlines code CSV file and just drag it over here and drop it in any of this white space. We don't want to append it. We don't want to cause a union. We just want to join them together. So just drop it in the white space over here and it will automatically join together. Same with cancellation codes. Let's drag it up here and drop it. You'll notice that Tableau now says, I don't know what to do. I don't understand how you want me to connect these together. They don't have the same field. Well, the reason for this is because the field is called something different in both files, but both have a cancellation code field. So in the data source, you're going to click cancellation code, and you're going to go over here to the cancellation code CSV and hit cancellation code. You'll notice that one has a lowercase c in code and one has an uppercase c in code, and this is why Tableau says, I'm absolutely not going to assume this. I'm going to make you tell me what you want me to join it on. So what field do you want me to join on? What is the issue? And then it says after this, okay, I'm going to perform an inner join because that's what I do by default. Are you okay with an inner join? And we're going to think about this for a minute. So the airline data and the airline codes have an inner join, and that's fine. All that's in the airline codes is the name of the airline and such things, and all of the airline data is going to have an airline code that matches. So the inner join isn't that big of a deal. But what about cancellation codes? If I do an inner join here between airline data and cancellation codes, if you remember back to our join conversation, all I'm going to get is where these two tables match. So if I select the inner join here, I'm only going to get airline data from canceled flights. Well, that's not very useful, because most of my flights won't be canceled. So I really want all the airline data, and then if they were canceled, I'd like to know why. So I'm going to select this left join, which is going to give me all the data out of this left-hand table, which I have appended, and just bring in the cancellation codes where they happen. So you can click Update Now or Update Automatically to make sure that your joins are working properly. It's likely that Tableau is going to take a minute like mine is. You'll see it's just spinning and spinning and spinning. It's because these files are so big that it's trying to work through them and make sure that these joins are adequate and that they're what we want to do. So we'll just kind of have to wait for it to load all this data. I know that these are correct, but I want you to see that the data does appear down here because we have joined them correctly. See, here it goes. Now, your data may not show this exact thing. As long as you have data here, It depends on which order you join them in as to what you will see. So don't worry if you don't exactly see the same data that I have. Just make sure that you see data. Instead of doing a live connection, we're going to extract this connection. And the reason to extract the connection is twofold, really. One is because we don't actually have live changing data, so we don't want to leave it on the live connection and use all of our processing power when the data isn't going to change. But secondly, I have access to functions in an extract that I don't have in a live, especially this count distinct function where I'm counting things that are unique that have never happened before, and it becomes a very useful tool, the count distinct function, and we're going to use it quite a bit. So I want to make sure that I extract it. Now when I push extract, extract will include all data. Well, that's what I want, but nothing has happened. So you're probably thinking I probably should save this extract because you've done it in class. The way that you get to save the extraction is click on sheet 1, and it's going to say, okay, but what do you want me to do? And I'm going to say Tableau data extract. This is my airline data for project, and then I'm going to put my name. And likely, per your instructions, you're supposed to put your section number as well, but I'm just going to put my name, and I'm going to click Save. And then, just for good measure, because I know that Tableau likes to do really, really weird stuff, first it's going to create this extract, guys. There's over 1 million rows here, which is why it takes it so long. So just be patient. Yours likely will take at least as long as mine. Sometimes my MacBook that I'm recording on gets a little behind. But I want to point out that you should save your workbook also, not just your extraction. So Tableau has a tendency to save things in a really weird spot. It's called My Tableau Repository. It's located in your Documents folder. So if you've lost it, that's likely where it is. We're going to go ahead, as soon as this imports all of this data, we're going to go ahead and save this workbook. And then we're going to take a look at the data dictionary. So now that we've moved to sheet 1, we can go up here and save our actual workbooks. We're going to go to Save As, and it's decided it's going to put it where I've told it I want to put mine. So on the desktop in my BA 342 Tableau, I'm going to put it inside my project, and I'm going to call it Tableau Project, and I'm going to call it my name. You can call it whatever you're supposed to call it for your project. I think Tableau Visualization Project, your name and your section number. Whatever your file says that you should call it. And you're going to click Save. And then everything that I do in this workbook now is going to be saved into that file, so I don't have to worry about it. Lastly, in this video, I want to show you the data dictionary. So again, mine's saved on my desktop in a BA 342 folder. In the project folder, I've got this documentation folder with the data dictionary. If I open this up, it's going to show me all of the data housed in these data sheets that we have pulled in. So you'll notice this is the airline data, and it shows me the name of each field. So destination is the destination airport. It's a text field. Origin is the origin airport. It's a text field. Flight number is numeric. Now, one thing I want to point out about airline data is if you haven't flown a bunch, you might not know this. But let's say American Airlines flies from Knoxville to Denver every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, that American Airlines flight to Denver from Knoxville at 8 o'clock in the morning is always going to be flight 3579. So that flight number by itself isn't unique. But flight number 3579 might happen on American Airlines, and it might happen on Delta, and it might happen on Southwest. So in order to know which 3579 it is, we're going to have to create a field that joins the airline or the carrier code to the flight number. And we'll do that in a different video that goes over some common questions about the project. But just bear that in mind. That is an issue with airline data. So if we keep scrolling down, we have arrival delay in minutes, the difference between the schedule and actual arrival time. Early arrivals are set to 0, so there's no negative here. All of them are set to 0. This says arrival delay 15. It's an indicator, was it 15 minutes or more late? Yes or no. And this is what's called a Boolean or true-false field. Was it a canceled flight? Yes or no. Was it a diverted flight? Yes or no. All of these are Booleans. So this will tell you, based on the name of the field, what you're looking at. And then you have airline codes. Carrier is a code assigned to each carrier, that's the airline name, and then you have cancellation codes that are going to be an explanation of what those are. So just bear in mind that you do have this data dictionary. It is saved on Canvas in your project module. Let me go back to modules and show you where you can find this one. So in your modules, if you scroll down to your visualization project, sorry, scroll too far, airline data dictionary, this Excel file at the bottom is where you would find all this information. So this will get you set up and ready to go for the project, but please watch our other project videos to help you work through some of the things that you'll have to do and some of the logic that you'll have to perform as you work through your project. I hope you found this helpful. Please continue to watch our other videos and follow along in class.